Hey guys, it's Kevin here checking in with you before we get to this special interview, which was recorded live from the WERC conference this year. And I want to give a special shout out to our sponsor for this WERC series, Big Joe Forklifts. I wear their t-shirt, I use their LPT26, and I keep my mini Joey handy here on my desk to help me lift up any heavy notes, any post-it notes that I just can't handle myself. Now, for almost 75 years, Big Joe Forklifts, lithium-ion, walkie stackers, pallet trucks, and access vehicles have been the standard of quality in factories, warehouses, and DCs across North America. Engineered in Wisconsin, Big Joe is known for their rugged, easy-to-use designs that provide a low-cost alternative to traditional forklifts. And as I mentioned, I personally enjoy my LPT26 for moving pallets. For more product specs and more information, head to BigJoeForklifts.com. That's BigJoeForklifts.com, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Hey guys, it's Kevin with the New Warehouse Podcast, and I am here at WERC 2024 in Dallas, Texas, and I'm now joined by Misbah Virani of Rapyuta Robotics, and she is in charge of their partnerships in North America. And Rapyuta Robotics is recently, in the last year or so, has entered the North American market. Originally a Japanese-based robotics company, well established across the ocean there. And we're going to talk a little bit about kind of their entrance into the North American market, their solutions that they're offering, because they have a couple different ones. And we're going to learn just about kind of what Misbah is seeing in the market too, as well as some challenges right now. So Misbah, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. It's good to be here.
Yeah, good to have you here.
So with Rapyuta Robotics, they are headquartered out of Japan, Tokyo, Japan to be specific. We started the company in 2014, September, and we're pretty strong in the Japanese market. For our pick assist robot, we do have about 70% market share in Japan. So naturally, we're trying to replicate similar efforts here in America. We started our office here in Schaumburg, Chicago area, last year, so January of 2023. So a little over a year ago. And now we are trying to grow into our pick assist robot space, but also we are bringing into the market our ASRS solution, which will be here. It's exciting. That one's everyone. They hear that and their ears go up, so it's exciting. But the ASRS is coming earlier next year, and then the autonomous forklift will also be here later half of next year.
Okay, interesting. And I'm curious too. I mean, when we look at the Japanese market, you said you have like 70% of market share there. You said, yeah, right. So I mean, when you look at that and you try and translate some of that over to the North American market, I mean, what are some of the differences between the Japanese market for where robotics are finding a home, I guess, in a sense, and versus the North American market?
Like, what challenges are we seeing trying to grow into?
Yeah, I guess what similarities are there in the market? What differences are there between the Japanese market and North American market?
Yeah. So one thing for sure is both markets are looking for some sort of automation. Some big key differences that we keep hearing is, hey, there's labor shortages, and that's kind of everywhere around the world right now. So those were a few key differences that we noticed in Japan, but also here. And then also another thing is how quickly it helped their productivity levels there. And so just to be able to see that, right, having those test cases helped us here in America. So we're able to showcase that, hey, we have big market share, but because of this reason. We did notice that the data that we have back from this market share is we did achieve 2 times the productivity with the robots being in action on the show floor. So
Interesting. Yeah, I was curious how that kind of translates. And now, so your big focus right now first is the pick assist, right? Robot. So maybe for people that aren't familiar, what is a pick assist robot?
Yeah. So a pick assist robot, robots in general, or at least on our side, they're designed to work alongside humans. So a lot of the times when people hear automation, people are like, oh no, you're taking over human jobs. That's not the case. It's designed to again work alongside humans, so help them. Right, so they're able to do a lot of the stuff that's more important. So for a pick assist robot like ours, what happens is, let's say that there is an item that needs to be picked, right? Or like a list of items that need to be picked.
Yeah.
Your WMS, so we integrate with any WMSs. Your WMS will push that out. It'll actually go to these robots. Now, instead of the human, chasing the robots around, what the robot does is understands that, hey, these are the list of items that need to be picked, and I'm going to go pick those. And it actually tells the person, the picker who's on the floor, that, hey, please head to, for example, aisle 10 and pick up a toothpaste, right? So they head to aisle 10, and on the screen itself, it'll tell you what exactly needs to be picked in what bin. So once you pick that, there's a light that also comes up. So there's a put to light feature as well. What this does, it reduces mispick errors. Once you take that, scan it, put it into the bin, the robot actually then tells the associate where to go. So instead of the associate kind of running around with a slip in their hand, it's just following the robot's instructions. And the robot also optimizes the best path for the person. So remember how I said aisle 10?
Yeah.
The robot's going to understand that, hey, this person's already in aisle 10. I'm not going to make them go all the way across in aisle 1.
Yeah.
Right? So again, utilizes best path, and we'll send them to the closest item that needs to be picked next. By the time that person gets there, another robot's already there waiting. So essentially, the associate's not worried about, I have to chase this robot, or, I have to wait on this robot. It's working alongside them. So the robot's already there, and that's how we also noticed that the productivity levels went up.
Yeah, absolutely, and definitely a big focus on kind of reducing that walk and travel time for the employee themselves, right, and being able to kind of get more productivity off of one employee versus having multiple employees to cover that travel time. And I mean, I think it's very interesting to look at that approach, and I guess I'm curious from the perspective of someone that maybe doesn't have any robotics or automation yet, right? And they do a lot of picking that would be a good fit for that potentially.
Right.
At what level in terms of maybe volume or size does it make sense to start looking at something like a pick assist robot?
Right. So that's a great question, only because I also hear this often. And a lot of the times I keep hearing that automation needs to be done completely, like 100%.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the case. We can start in a certain area. Right? And what we like to do, at least on our end, is we provide simulations. What does that mean? So let's say if they are interested in some sort of automation, right? And they're like, hey, we want to try this, but we don't know what the ROI is going to be. We don't know how many robots we need. We don't expect you to know that, right? And we can't just throw out a number to you as well. So what we like to do is we like to conduct site visits and get a lot of the data back. Like, hey, what does your peak season look like? What does the off-peak season look like? How many workers do you have? What is your, how is your organization set up? What are you picking at what time? Replenishment, what does that look like? Basically, what this data helps us do is put together a simulation. In this simulation, it'll actually tell you that, hey, according to your warehouse size, the pickers you have, the amount of stuff you're picking, you'll need X amount of robots, and you will be ROI break even by month X. We do this at no cost, only because I know a lot of people are searching for this answer.
Yeah.
So that tends to help people a lot and get them their answer to make that decision.
Interesting. Yeah, and I think that's a great way to go about it, and a great free service that you're providing too, just to give them an idea of where are they? Because I think that a lot of people, as they're just starting to look at automation or robotics, there's so many options out there. Like you can get lost very easily, I think, and being able to kind of see that simulation, like you said, I think is very interesting, and it's interesting too. You said you don't have to necessarily go all in on it, right, at the beginning. So, I mean, when you talk about that, if you're looking at, right now, maybe I need, 20 robots, right? And then, maybe a year from now I need more because I'm continuing to grow, right? And I think that's what everybody hopes, right? For their business, right? So, I mean, how does your model work to be able to allow kind of the scaling of robots as the operation continues to scale too?
Yeah, so another great question. So what we like to do is the simulation that we provide, a couple months down the line, we like to run that again. So a lot of, in market right now, people say that, hey, our ROI was supposed to be met by this, but that's not the case. What happened, right? So in order to break that, we like to rerun the simulation a couple months down the line. At least, keep doing that for the contract term. That way, if something does change, let's say your inventory goes up, or or you lose an employee for some reason, right? Are you still, with that data that changed, are you still on the goal to meet your ROI? Or do you need more robots? And let's say that peak season comes around and you were expecting like ×2, but now it's ×4, right? We, again, run that data analysis. We run that simulation. And if the simulation says, hey, yeah, you're going to need 5 more robots, for example, to be able to meet your goal with the new inventory that came up, it's as simple as just bringing in our robots, turning them on, and they'll just piggyback off of the ones that are currently already there.
Interesting, yeah. Yeah, and I think it's great to have that flexibility to be able to scale up and then scale down too, right? Because we talked about peak season. When we have peak season, I mean, it's just like, bringing more temp workers in or something, right? You're going to bring in these temporary robots, I guess, in a sense, right? And have them come in. So I'm curious, I mean, as you're talking to people like at conferences like this, and I know you go to a lot of conferences, see you at a lot of conferences, and you're talking to these end users, I mean, what are some of the biggest challenges that they're telling you they're facing right now when it comes to whether it's fulfillment operation or distribution operations?
Yeah, so I think automation is definitely top of mind for a lot of folks, because all these conferences I've been to, as soon as the question comes up, do we automate? Everyone says, yes, we will probably need to, in some way or some form, sooner the better. But what I've also been hearing is the issue is, how do we keep up with our organization and also be able to bring in something new, right, to teach the people that are there? How do we take that time out to train the employees, to be able to have these certain changes that come in while our inventory is growing? Everything's basically on fire. And so those are the few things that I keep hearing. And my answer to that is, again, it goes back to, it's not everything at once. You take it kind of piece by piece, and that not only helps your organization, helps your people, but also helps you ease into the automation that you're dreaming of.
Interesting, yeah. Dreaming of, I like that, so we're dreaming of automation, and I think, it makes sense too, like to be able to take kind of these different steps to get through that journey. I like to say it's like an automation journey, right? And I think, there's certainly a lot of challenges around that. There's a lot of different options in the market too. So I'm curious, from like your perspective on Rapyuta's offerings. I mean, how do your offerings maybe differ from some others that are out there in the market?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of excellent choices out there. We have a lot of things that do differ. We have the support system that also comes into play afterwards. We had a lot of people who said their concerns were, hey, we need more support. We need hand-holding, right? And it's automation. It's new. It's scary. It's exciting, right? So, but with that being said, yes, a lot of hand-holding is required. One of the key differences that we also like to provide is that support system, right? We have this 24/7 on-call support, but not just that. Let's say that this is something new that just got deployed. We'd like to have our engineers on site for a month, or until you feel that comfortable level, right? We can talk through that. Where you're like, hey, I don't feel comfortable after a month. Okay, let's extend that. But we want to make sure that you're comfortable using these robots. Your employees are comfortable with using these robots. Any worst case scenario that comes up, we've seen it come up, and we'll take care of it. But aside that 24/7 on-call support, other than that, if something does physically break on the robot, under our RAS model, it's covered at no cost, and we can replace it immediately. And then on top of that, any software that also gets updated is included. We like to have these weekly meetings. We want to make sure that you don't feel like, hey, here are new robots, figure it out, we're out, right? Which is surprisingly a lot of people saying that it tends to happen, and I get it. So that's one thing that we're facing head on. We do have a lot of, so our robots run on their own platform, of Rapyuta IO platform, which is also one of our differentiators. Our robots are able to move in smaller areas, so anywhere in like a 3 feet to a 5 feet aisle, they're able to move. So and even in smaller spaces, you can have one going up and down. If you have a little bit bigger space, 2 going up and down without any issues. There's a lot of other key differences that our software is able to do compared to our competitors. We do have, the put to light feature that I spoke about. We can integrate any scanners, print systems, which I know others have as well. but also the trays that are retractable too. We had a lot of people say that, hey, our employees talk about their backs hurting and stuff, and they're trying to put stuff in. So now we made them retractable, so that seems to help a lot.
Yeah, interesting. And it's great that you're listening to that too. And
Sure.
I think probably some of that I would think comes from the Japanese culture too, where,
Yes.
there's a lot of focus on lean and like the Toyota way and all that stuff. So, I mean, listening and having that continuous improvement ethos overall too, I think is a great thing, which, is prevalent in a lot of warehouses, and in some warehouses should be more prevalent, I would say too. Not calling anybody out, but it definitely can go a long way.
Right.
So now, I mean, if people want to try and test Rapyuta, I mean, you guys do tests too as well. Like you do like site visits and bring robots out. So tell us a little bit about how that program works.
Sure. So two things, or three actually. So we can do, if somebody's not able to make it, we can do virtual demos as well. But yes, we do like to conduct on-site visits. What this does is also helps us to better understand their operation, and it also helps us to understand what their data looks like, right? So we take all these data points back, and we'll be honest. If it's not the best case scenario for them, we'll tell them that, hey, as much as you like it, this is what the simulation says. If you still want them, sure, but we'll be upfront. And other than that, if somebody does want to see them running on site, we've had requests where they said, we don't want to see it on a demo site. We want to see it live in action working.
Yeah.
So now we have a few of our customers that have opened their doors, and we can take them up in New Jersey. That's one of the sites are. So we can take them up there and show them a real demo of how these robots are being utilized in an actual live environment. That's something we can do. Or if, let's say that someone's really serious about having this automation, these AMRs, we can actually bring our AMRs to site for a 2 or 3 day demo. That way you can see it live working in your facility, picking your items.
Very interesting. Yeah. And I think, being able to see it in like the live environment is a lot better than seeing it, like at a booth at a trade show or something like that. And I think it's great that you guys have the flexibility to be able to do that, or even set it up in their own operations too, to see for 2 or 3 days. So very interesting to learn about Rapyuta Robotics from you, and kind of dive a little deeper into what you guys are doing as you start to expand into the North American market. And we'll be looking forward to those future solutions too as well. But if people are interested in getting in touch, or maybe they want to do a site visit with you too, what's the best way to do that?
You can contact me, or you can contact, there's a really good sales page on our website as well, and that directs us directly to our marketing team, but also our sales team as well, and we'd be more than happy to set up a demo as well.
All right, great. And we'll definitely put all that information at thenewwarehouse.com as well, so people can easily find it. So, Misbah, thank you very much for joining me today.
Perfect. Thank you, Kevin. It's been a pleasure.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's video here on our YouTube channel, The New Warehouse Podcast, and I appreciate you tuning in. If you liked what you saw, make sure you subscribe to our channel, and if you like this video in particular, make sure you like it as well. And if you want to get this great t-shirt that you see in the video behind me, Warehouses Are Sexy, head to warehousesAreSexy.com and get your own.